Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
The Caribbean Development Bank predicts increased economic growth for the region this year. That's the top story in Caribbean Newsline for Wednesday, February 7th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. After growing less than 1% in 2017, the Caribbean region is expected to experience 2% economic growth this year. Caribbean Development Bank President Dr. Warren Smith delivered the forecast in his address to the CDB's annual press conference on Wednesday morning. He said the growth would be influenced by an improved global economy, which is expected to continue to expand this year. Smith said all but 5 of the CDB's borrowing member countries reported growth in 2017, driven mainly by tourism and increased commodity prices.
I am also mindful that our economic growth continues to lag behind that of our comparators, and that there are downside risks and uncertainties associated with our economic prospects. For example, relatively modest growth was reported by our BMCs when we compare them with the small economies, other small economies which grew in excess of 4%, and the world economy which grew by 3.1% in 2017.
Smith noted that disaster risk management and resilience building took prominence in 2017 following the widespread devastation caused by the Category 5 hurricanes Irma and Maria last September. The storms caused damage of up to 225% of GDP in Dominica and almost 300% in the British Virgin Islands. The CDB president says it is becoming increasingly costly to respond to natural disasters in the region, and the bank has been drawing on its own resources as well as that of its partners to assist affected countries.
A grant of approximately $14 million was also obtained from the European Union for geothermal energy development in up to 5 countries in the Eastern Caribbean. These countries being Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A new $70 million Mexico Infrastructure Fund, which will provide grants to boost regional infrastructure development, is another source of financing that we have been able to attract. The expansion of the United Kingdom Caribbean Infrastructure Partnership Fund includes an additional £28 million sterling, which will assist in the recovery efforts in Antigua and Barbuda and in Dominica.
The Antigua and Barbuda Parliament on Tuesday approved legislation to allow people to have up to 15 grams of cannabis for personal use. The Misuse of Drugs Amendment Bill had its first reading in the House last December, but was subsequently sent to a select committee for further consultations. That engagement was held on January 23rd and resulted in recommendations that included increasing the proposed decriminalized amount from 10 grams to as much as 2 ounces, as is the case in Jamaica. In his contribution to the debate on the legislation, Prime Minister Gaston Brown told legislators there is a large section of the population that uses cannabis and criminalizing people is posing a developmental challenge. He said a poll commissioned before the decriminalization move indicated that 70% of the population was in favor of going that route. We get more in this ABS News report.
The minister said marijuana-related convictions have barred young people from taking advantage of academic and professional opportunities.
We continue to criminalize our youth, to put their development at risk, to have a situation in which they get convicted for the use of a spliff or possession of a spliff, and at the same time preclude them from developing themselves for their educational prospects abroad, even the opportunity to travel to certain countries because of a criminal conviction, or to undermine the job prospects.
Under the amended bill, those found with up to 15 grams of cannabis will not get a criminal record. Instead, it will be a ticketable offense. In addition, those with convictions related to the possession of less than 15 grams of cannabis will have their records expunged. The Prime Minister, however, said, with steps being taken to decriminalize the drug, there will also be strategies to reduce demand.
We also will have a concurrent public education program to reduce the demand, to let the citizens and the residents know about the problems associated with the use of marijuana. So we're taking a very responsible position. In fact, what we're seeking here is to literally deal with it from the public health standpoint and to literally regulate it in a better way.
Noting that his government is against the smoking of marijuana as it has negative health effects, he said the decriminalization is restricted to private use.
Even though we're decriminalizing marijuana, it doesn't give the right for individuals to use it in a public space. They still have to respect the personal space of individuals and to make sure that individuals are not exposed to secondary smoke. That is just as bad, just as unhealthy.
The Prime Minister, acknowledging the medicinal benefits of marijuana, said his government will work swiftly to legalize its use for this specific purpose. He notes, however, that legalizing the weed for recreational purposes is not as clear-cut.
We can see a trend already. I mean, in South America, in Europe, many countries have actually, if not decriminalized, would have actually legalized marijuana. So it is evident that at some point we will get to the stage of full legalization, because it is becoming more common so to do. But again, as a small country, we're not in a position to lead on this. We clearly have to follow on the legalization of marijuana for recreational use.
There was unanimous support for the bill among the lawmakers present.
But the St. Vincent and the Grenadines government says it won't be going that route. Finance Minister Camilo Gonzalez, who outlined the government's position during the presentation of the national budget, said unregulated consumption of recreational marijuana poses unknown risks and challenges, and the administration doesn't have the relevant data to make informed decisions on the issue. He added that government's regular scientific polling on the issue shows a deep divergence of views on the issue in society. But Gonzalez said government plans to continue wide and thorough consultations with the public on establishing a well-regulated, clearly defined, export-oriented medical cannabis industry. He said if such an industry is supported by the public and approved by Parliament, it would position the country to take advantage of the economic opportunities presented by the rapidly expanding international market for medical cannabis products. Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness on Tuesday tabled a copy of the report of a commission that was asked to review the island's relations within the CARICOM and CARIFORUM frameworks. The commission, which was chaired by former Prime Minister Bruce Golden, had been charged with evaluating the effects of Jamaica's membership in CARICOM on the country's economic growth and development, with particular reference to trade in goods and services, investment, international competitiveness and job creation. The report contains 33 recommendations, as we hear from TVJ's Janella Precious.
The recommendations call for full free movement of people throughout CARICOM, subject only to exclusions for security and public health reasons, harmonization of customs laws, regulations and procedures, especially for the treatment of perishable goods. The Commission also recommends the removal of all non-tariff barriers to trade, the removal of restrictions to the provision of services, as well as the removal of restrictions preventing suppliers of goods and services from qualifying for government contracts in other member states. It also wants a CARICOM Auditor General. It also calls for citizens of the region to hold each head of government directly responsible for ensuring the full participation of their designated representatives in the various institutions and bodies of CARICOM and CARIFORUM. There's a proposal as well for the appointment of an oversight body to review CARICOM's performance. According to the Commission, there needs to be a clear and definitive commitment from all member states to a specific time-bound, measurable and verifiable program of action. 5 years is the recommended time frame. In tabling the report, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said he's carefully noted the recommendations and principles of results-based management and greater public scrutiny.
It is always the case that after institutions have existed for some time, they have to be reviewed. We have reviewed them, and we intend to ensure that the institutions of CARICOM work to the benefit and the interest of the people of the Caribbean.
While the House is expected to debate the recommendations, Mr. Holness advised it will not stop there.
The issue regarding whether or not the other heads have been advised, you would be happy to know, member, that 2 heads of CARICOM participated in this process. And I have been in dialogue with other colleagues about the report. Some had some anxiety because they had the view that we were trying to find a way to exit CARICOM. That wasn't the intention. And I have calmed those fears. Now that I have laid this document publicly, I will now send copies officially to the other heads so they can have it in time for our gathering in Haiti.
And still to come in Caribbean Newsline, another failure by authorities in Barbados to fix the island's sewage mess. The details of that story and more after the break. Stay with us.
Come, sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Look, listen, feel. Realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
You got to be there, you got to be there. You got to be there at the relay fair. Plenty speed, plenty action, stands, pot, steam it to come from the track. The Barbados Relay Fair, Saturday, February 10th at the National Stadium from 10 a.m. Admission $20 with family packages available. Teams from Guyana, St. Vincent, Grenada, Bermuda, Trinidad, and Guadeloupe competing against the best local talent. Your sponsors are Ensure, Colgate, Paula Barange, CMC, Williams Industries, Seidel, Sports and Gang, Burger King, Elite Sports, Caribbean Sports Management Enterprises, Regional Management Services, and Nuts and Bolts Nutrition. Remember to follow us at Barbados Relay Fair on Instagram.
A fresh attempt is being made to solve the worsening sewage crisis on Barbados' south coast, with the Barbados Water and Sewerage Authority, the BWA, admitting that interim measures to control the problem have failed. BWA General Manager Keithroy Halliday said on Tuesday that 300-foot injection wells must now be dug as a matter of urgency because time is running out. Over the past year, authorities have been trying to stop the overflow of effluent into the streets along the south coast. Halliday says there was a medium-term plan in the works, but that has to be brought forward because the interim measures are not working. That plan involves digging several deep emergency injection wells under special conditions prescribed by the Ministry of Health to ensure the safety of the drinking water. The wells would allow the authorities to control or divert the effluent that is produced during the day in an effort to keep it off the streets. Halliday says this will buy authorities time to connect the permanent bypass, which should fix the problem once and for all. Digging of the test well will start within days just off the existing coast sewage plant. Minority Leader of the Tobago House of Assembly, Watson Duke, is concerned about crime in Tobago, and he's calling for a local police service for the sister isle similar to the municipal police in Trinidad.
Serious crime in Tobago in 2017 amounted to 950, a rocket high. Wounded and shooting, it was 38. Only 14 was detected.
Mr. Duke says the statistics also suggest that the detection rate in Tobago is low.
The police service of Trinidad and Tobago could only do so much to assist in crime. And I'm calling upon the Tobago House of Assembly to meet with the minority leader and let us together, jointly, support a local police service for Tobago. Something that mimics the municipal police in Trinidad, the city police, something that mimics the LA police, New York police. These are local police.
Tobago has already recorded 2 murders for 2018. Divisional Commander Joan Archie at the scene of the last murder said investigations were ongoing into both incidents.
And that report was from Patricia Nicholson of C News. Jamaica says it's looking forward to the United States government strengthening its economic ties in the region. At a joint press conference on Wednesday following a working visit by U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said they discussed several issues with the primary focus on promoting a peaceful, prosperous and energy-secure hemisphere.
Among the specific matters discussed were strengthening security cooperation in order to more effectively combat transnational organized crime, boosting the U.S.-Jamaica economic partnership, exploring opportunities to broaden U.S. CARICOM engagement, energy security, the economic vulnerability of middle-income countries, including climatic events, de-risking and correspondent banking issues, and of course the situation in Venezuela. Our talks reflected Jamaica's long and productive relationship with the United States and signaled the importance of the strong and vibrant partnership that exists between our two countries.
Holness added that both he and Tillerson believe the transformation of Jamaica's energy sector is critical to the achievement of the country's development objectives. Meantime, Tillerson says the U.S. understands that its security and prosperity are dependent on the stability of the Caribbean, and he says America is ready to continue working with the region to eradicate the illegal drug and narcotics transnational trade and other criminal activities.
Through the Caribbean Basin Security Initiative, the United States and the Caribbean have really taken great strides in unifying our approach to regional security, but we discussed ways in which we could take that further and do more. We appreciate the Jamaica government's commitment to countering narcotics trafficking and transnational criminal organizations and the cooperation that we already enjoy, but we also see many, many opportunities to enhance that cooperation to be even more effective in disrupting these illegal organizations. We appreciate the government of Jamaica has made important progress combating the lotto scams, cooperating closely with U.S. authorities to extradite suspected lotto scammers to the United States and establishing a bilateral lotto scam task force, and we welcome that. The U.S. government will continue to support Jamaica's security forces and criminal justice system. It is in both of our countries' interests to work together to investigate crimes, share intelligence, conduct asset seizures where legally and appropriate to do so, and bolster existing anti-corruption and anti-gang programs.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, Kensington Oval to host the Caribbean's first ever day-night test. Stay with us. Sport is next.
Every night I dream about you.
Traveling across the oceans to another
plan. Just need some time to make you understand
that she could love you better, wrong, so wrong. You had the best girl all along.
You got to be there, you got to be there. You got to be there at the relay fair. Plenty speed, plenty action, stand, spot, steam it to come from the track. The Barbados Relay Fair, Saturday, February 10th at the National Stadium from 10 a.m. Admission $20 with family packages available. Teams from Guyana, St. Vincent, Grenada, Bermuda, Trinidad, and Guadeloupe competing against the best local talent. Your sponsors are Ensure, Colgate, Paula Barange, CMC, Williams Industries, Seidel, Sports and Gang, Burger King, Elite Sports, Caribbean Sports Management Enterprises, Regional Management Services, and Nuts and Bolts Nutrition. Remember to follow us at Barbados Relay Fair on Instagram.
Come, sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Shh, look, listen, feel. Realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
The historic Kensington Oval in Barbados will host the Caribbean's first ever day-night test when Windies face Sri Lanka in the final test of the three-match series. That has been confirmed by the Sri Lanka Cricket Board. West Indies have already played 2 day-night tests, also widely referred to as the pink ball tests, but are yet to play one at home. The Caribbean side has featured in 2 of 8 such matches, the first against Pakistan in Dubai 16 months ago and the second against England at Edgbaston last August. Sri Lanka will open the May 30th to June 27th tour with a 2-day tour match in Trinidad before clashing with the Windies in the opening test at Queen's Park Oval starting June 6th. The Darren Sammy Cricket Ground in St. Lucia, originally scheduled to stage the final test, will now host the second match starting June 14. Kensington Oval will now host the final match of the series. The Sri Lankans have toured the Caribbean 3 times but have never played a test at the Bridgetown venue. They have won 1, lost 3 and drawn 2 of the 6 tests played on Caribbean soil. Staying with cricket, Barbados Pride's unbeaten streak in the regional Super 50 tournament continued when they crushed combined campuses and colleges Marooners by 183 runs on Wednesday. Sent in to bat at the Windward Sports Club, the hosts put on a commanding 254 for 9. She-Hope was in top form, scoring 102 runs that were built up on a 151-run partnership with Roston Chase, who finished on 72. Left-arm spinner Ryan Hines was the pick of the bowlers, and he earned match figures of 2 for 27, while Jermaine Leave, O'Shea Shields and Kijan Otley and Jamil Stewart picked up a wicket each. But 19-year-old fast bowler Shemar Holder tore into Marooners' batting lineup. He ended with figures of 3 for 31, while Solomon Ben and Ashley Nurse grabbed 2 wickets each to dismiss the Marooners for paltry 71 off 32 overs. Hines, with a knock of 32 from 59 balls, was the only batsman to make a respectable total for the side. And Jamaica Scorpions easily brushed aside USA Cricket by 98 runs on Tuesday night to break out of their slump with their first win of the regional Super 50. Without a victory in the first 2 encounters, Scorpions capitalized on perhaps the weakest side in the Group B to claim their first major points. Batting first in the day-night affair at the Coolidge Cricket Ground, Scorpions raised a competitive 254 for 8 of their 50 overs, with captain Nikita Miller top scoring with 52 not out of 41 balls. Andre McCarthy struck 38, Odin Smith got an unbeaten 30, while Fabian Aline chipped in with 28. In reply, opener Sunny Sohal gathered a 67 and captain Ibrahim Khalil 37. But the remainder of the USA's batting flopped to leave Scorpions with a relatively straightforward result. Left-arm spinner Chris Lamont and Nikita Miller, along with seamers Andre Russell and Odin Smith, all finished with 2 wickets each. A 40-man team is expected to represent Jamaica in an Athletic World Cup set for July in London. The team members will be selected on the basis of their performances in the Jamaica Track and Field Championships. TVJ's Dennis Walters has that story.
Championships confirmed by President Dr. Warren Blake on Monday for the last week of June will be used to decide the team Jamaica sent to the inaugural Athletics World Cup in London from July 14 to 15. 2 weeks after the national trials, only 1 male and a female athlete will compete in all field and track events across 17 disciplines and 2 relays, which will be straight finals.
So it would only be natural that we would be looking to use our national championships to select the team.
Dr. Blake says a contingent of 45 athletes and 10 officials are set to be at the Games. He notes that the nation's top athletes will be down to compete.
And already I've spoken to a number of the coaches who look after our top athletes, and they have signified that they think it's a novel idea and it is something they would want their athletes to take part in.
Dr. Blake, thank you very much for your time. Meanwhile, the tournament will also feature 7 other countries: the United States, Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Germany, South Africa, China, Poland and France, going up against each other under floodlights for cash prizes of up to $2 million. The Athletics World Cup will be staged at the London Stadium following the success of the 2012 Olympics and the IAAF World Championships last year.
Staying in Jamaica but switching to football, the Sunshine Girls' chances of winning an upcoming quad series in Australia have been bolstered with the return of Romelda Akeen. Akeen has been out of action for a year over wage dispute with Netball Jamaica. Now that those matters have been resolved, members of the netball fraternity are quite happy about the star shooter's return.
An away series against New Zealand in September 2016. However, an amicable resolution has now been reached, paving the way for her to return to national duties.
I think Netball Jamaica board members would have had the opportunity to make contact with her. You know, Romelda is a Jamaican at heart, and all the time, you know, Jamaica would always come first. And I'm sure Romelda would take that into consideration. And Netball Jamaica know the importance and the strength of this player, wouldn't want to leave a Romelda Akins out of the squad, and therefore they would have made contact. They would have sorted ironing out whatever differences there were, and we're glad to have her back in the program.
Co-coach Marvin Anderson is also ecstatic about the availability of Akin once again, and also the presence of fellow world-rated shooter Janiel Fowler-Reid.
Well, Romelda in the squad is a plus for us. We have now 2 6-foot shooters that we can go to at any time. I don't think any other team has that luxury. So Romelda's presence in the squad will only add experience and depth to the squad.
Fellow Sunshine Girl and the centre court player Nicole Dixon has also welcomed the addition of Akin and Fowler-Reid to the unit.
Most persons already know Romelda Akin and Janiel Fowler-Reid. Those are our 2 giant shooters, and I mean, it is a plus to the team as we have 2 tall shooters in the circle. It will be easier for us.
And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Barbados, renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. The Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you.
Again, the major developments of this day: the Caribbean Development Bank predicts 2% economic growth for the region this year. And in sport, the historic Kensington Oval in Barbados to host the Caribbean's first ever day-night test when West Indies face Sri Lanka in the final test of the 3-match series. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to CarnaNews.com. Have yourselves a good night.